Will WWE 2K23 happen? Will 2K continue the series, continue the franchise as we know it today? Or will we see EA step in and take the franchise in a new direction? That's the conversation today on the show. Let's go! Everybody, welcome back to Assemble. I'm Matt. Great to have you here on the show. Let's talk 2K22. Let's talk 2K23. Will it happen? I think it's an important conversation to have. I think a lot of us have been asking this, if we would see the next year's game come out under 2K. Have the reviews been strong enough? Is WWE interested in continuing this relationship with 2K? The rumblings of EA out there in the universe. I want to start this conversation off with the tweet that went out by 2K themselves when they went to WWE headquarters and they had their celebration event for the game launching, because I think it's an important piece of this entire narrative and this entire conversation. WWE Games tweeted out, shout out to @WWE and Stephanie McMahon for continued partnership and an amazing launch of 2K22. Here's to many more years of success. Hashtag it hits different. And we can see Stephanie McMahon and the whole team on both sides of WWE and 2K celebrating the launch of WWE 2K22. Now, the important piece here, and this is from my perspective, and I could be totally wrong, this does not indicate that 2K and WWE are celebrating the continued partnership, the continued relationship. To me, this is simply celebrating this year's game coming out. That's what they're there to celebrate. It does indicate that 2K wants many more years of the relationship and the partnership because they want the franchise, because they want to continue making money with WWE. WWE themselves never put out a statement in return. They have not indicated anywhere. There's no news stating that WWE and 2K have continued their contract, continued their partnership for X number of years. We don't have that information at this time, but I know so many of us out there are running with this, saying, oh yeah, 2K has got this and they're continuing the partnership. Look what 2K posted. That's one side of it. That doesn't necessarily mean that WWE agrees. So let's talk about the game's launch. Overall, reviews from your heavy hitter websites and all of that, and your big outlets, your small outlets like Matt here, the game is reviewing quite well. Are there bugs and issues and the glitches and all of that? Absolutely, 100%. There's still a mess out there. Is it better than 2K20? I think so, but that's not a very high bar, is it? Overall, impressions of the game from outlets, generally speaking, is positive. People are happy that they finally have a fresh WWE game to play, because it's been a while, because a lot of us have just been sticking with 2K19. A lot of you are still going back to 2K19. And we have waited a long time for this game to come out, and WWE themselves have waited a long time for 2K to get things right again. Gotta keep in mind, 2K20, it's not a good look for either company. 2K needed this game to be successful for a variety of reasons. One, to win the fans back, to make sure that they were going to be happier with this, giving us the likes of My GM mode, putting that in the game, whether that is deemed, a home run or not. They were doing things like that. They were trying to make sure that the game was stable. They were trying to improve entrances, graphics, all these details to try and make the game good and solid to bring back a lot of fans that probably turned away. And I think overall 2K is successful with this. We see a lot of positivity out there. We do still see a lot of people that are unhappy with details, with things not working right with the game, and that is understandable, and that needs to be acknowledged and addressed by 2K. But as a whole, the game is doing well. If we take a look over at gamesindustry.biz, they had a quick write-up regarding the sales figures so far for the game as we are nearing its first month of release. This is looking at the UK digital top 10 list, and this is the week ending of March 12th. So it's a little bit behind now. But at the time where the game was coming out, Elden Ring, being the gigantic juggernaut that it is, came in at number 1, with 2K22 coming in at number 2. The article talks about how 2K22 launch sales are more than double of 2K20's through the UK digital charts. The article says that it was a strong debut for 2K Games wrestling title. Digital launch sales are 390% higher for this entry than 2019's WWE 2K20. And we never got 2K21. And as a result, the game's overall sales, the physical plus the digital, are more than double what the previous game achieved. 72% of 2K22 sales are digital, whereas under 30% of 2K20 sales were digital. Now, there's a couple of pieces to pull apart here within just this little bit of news. And remember, this is from March the 12th. So it's a little bit behind. So we need to get more numbers when we can look at 2K's quarterly reports and dissect it to get a better idea of what the real numbers are for them for the game so far. I think we can make some assumptions as to why the sales are a little bit higher this time. One being, we have been waiting a long time for a brand new wrestling game. It's been a while. We've had 2K20. You have fans that are coming back to the franchise, that hear good things, that are interested and curious to see what the game is going to be. You get those lapsed casual fans that want to be able to play as some of their favorite superstars. And it's coming around the time of WrestleMania. So WWE fans in general are at their highest level of engagement. Royal Rumble season, WrestleMania, that's when WWE themselves have the most eyeballs on their product. That's where their fans really come out and really start to engage with their product over the course of a calendar year. We're also coming in with the game coming out in March, whereas we usually slate the game in October traditionally. End of October to almost November. And typically, in my experience with the game, it comes out at a time, whereas yes, I'm always going to get the latest game. However, it's coming out traditionally at a time where you're competing with the likes of your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, the big heavy hitters of the Christmas, the holiday season. And that tends to get in the way for players that are not necessarily going to run out day one and buy the game. So the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is these are all, I think, the positives and the good things for 2K to support some reasons and why they should be continuing on with the franchise. But is it enough for WWE? 2K was a big flop and they need to make up that revenue, and they want their brand really supported and they want to make money out of their franchise, out of their brand. And that's where the conversation of EA comes into play. EA is a juggernaut. EA is renowned with the sports franchises of FIFA and Madden and NHL. And it's scary too because of all of the microtransactions that they throw in there in the loot boxes. But what I would wonder is, does WWE look at EA and say, we are sports entertainment and we want to be in the sports franchise world and we want to be in the same conversations as the Maddens, as the NHLs, as the FIFA? Does WWE go down that path and look to EA to say, here is a 5-year contract, start making the next round of games for us and see what they can come up with? Because we don't know what goes up behind closed doors and what goes on. We don't know if WWE and 2K, the relationship is really rocky or not. Maybe they've been able to bounce back with this year's game and it's enough. But as we always hear about WWE, whether it is the rumors always of them selling or expanding or doing something else, selling off to Disney or whoever, they always do make mention. And I think of Nick Khan sitting there in interviews, always mentioning that we're always entertaining offers and having conversations. They're always open to it. So I wonder if an EA has approached WWE or vice versa to say, here's what we could do with the franchise, and this is the projected revenue that we could make with it. But would a move to EA be good or would it be bad? That's where all of you come in as well. Would that excite you or would that scare you? Based off of this community, the Assemble community that I absolutely love, a lot of your feedback is it's a bad thing if they move to EA. A lot of people in the community at least say they worry that they would go with EA and it would turn into a loot box nightmare where everything is microtransaction. And EA annualizes their franchises, which I don't think a lot of us enjoy overall because I think it doesn't give each title enough room to breathe, and we see these incremental updates like we have on the 2K side. They're sports games and they need to make money and they need to make profits every single year, so they want to be able to turn this out. But on the developer side, on the creative side, I think that hinders the experience, and I think players in general would rather say, take a 2-year break and come back and give me a better product, as long as the last one was fine. But from where I'm sitting, if WWE and EA teamed up and they said they were going to partner up for the next 5-10 years with the license, what I worry about is that for players and us sitting here is that we would not get our next WWE game from an EA version, from an EA standpoint, for the next 3 to 5 years. They'd have to build everything from scratch and we would be left with 2K22. That's not terrible, but it does mean that once that license is done, 2K is going to turn the lights off when it comes to supporting it online, servers and the like, and we would be left with this game in its current state for several years potentially, and I don't think WWE wants that. They would need something to be pushed out pretty frequently, because that's a lot of lost revenue from the media side, from the entertainment side, and not bringing that in is a loss. So it's a delicate balance. And then the question of, would an EA wrestling game work, and would fans be happy with it? And would they give us what we want and what we're used to? It's scary that it would be something new in that regard. And I don't know if fans would take to it. And maybe if WWE saw what they had and what EA was offering, maybe it is exciting. Maybe it would be something different. Maybe it'd just be a better polished product. But I would worry that we would get a EA WWE game and it's annualized and it's bare bones, and we see incremental updates of it every year like we do with their other franchises, like a Madden, like a FIFA. So I come back to all of you. What do you think? This is the important piece, because we are the players and we are the ones that are using the franchise, playing with these games every single year, every few years. What do you think is gonna happen? Stick with 2K or change it up and go with EA? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, check out more of our 2K22 coverage and our conversations like these ones right here. See you on the next episode.